absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
All right, we're back, and we
We should have
have
like a talk
new
show.
drinks. We should have a talk show.
I feel like it would do so well.
This is our talk show.
True.
You can come back anytime. Okay.
I just want to thank Diana as well. This is like my lifelong dream. I like don't really know what my dream is, but my dream like for so long was to be interviewed.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not doing a good job at interviewing you.
No, you are.
Oh.
Well, like just like having a conversation.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
I always wanted to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show. That was like my dream, but now it's canceled. So like,
oh God,
yeah.
I always wanted to be on the Today Show with Kawfee and Hoda.
Yeah, like.
But now Kathy's gone, and so it was Jenna and Hoda and Jenna, and now Hoda's leaving. So sad.
I guess my dream is to do like press, and I feel like doing
just
it
to do press.
I feel like doing it sucks. Like when you actually have to do it, like go to all those different things.
Oh, true. I feel like also just because we're professional yappers and we just
I would love to talk about myself. No
right. Ask me about me, of course. Okay, so this is the part of our show where we do highly caffeinated, which is just like a series of rapid fire questions. I don't have many, but rapid fire questions that our listeners have sent in, asked before, or even just something that I wanted to know.
How fast like do I have?
No, just
it's not like a time, right?
It's not, I mean, I don't have a
not
timer.
Like 10 seconds or something.
No, but like a few words, you know. So my first question in this highly caffeinated segment is, how do you deal with lack of motivation?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
How do I deal with I'm gonna take a sip.
Take a sip.
Wow.
Lack of motivation. What's your antidote?
I'll say this. I do so many different things that I feel that I don't have lack of motivation, but I have an unsure quality of like where to put my motivation.
Right.
Like when we were making the song with Jacob, shout out Jacob, Diana, Jacob and I have a song that we made coming out. I was like, I want to make more music. I even texted you like, would you write a song for me? Like I want to make more music. And then I'm like, oh shit, I have to submit everyone in the morning for Rafco management. And then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm doing social media management for like I never know where to put my eggs and what basket. And then Amy's texting me being like, you need to upload new videos. That I don't know if I have lack of motivation or I can't really answer like how do I deal with that. I think I'm unsure on how to on which direction to go.
Like lack of focus.
Because I love it all. So
how do you combat that? You just start?
I just start. I think I work very long days.
Yeah.
Like 8:30, 9 a.m. I'm ready to go. And then I end around like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
But I do lose motivation sometimes, especially for the performance side. And then whenever I do it, I realize how much I love it more than the other stuff.
Yep.
And how I can't give it up just yet. And I always think of myself as a teacher and how miserable I was.
That's your motivation.
That's my motivation. And I'm like,
a position that you did
not want to be in. Great experience, but yeah, that's my motivation. I'm like, you have gotten to this point where you can do this every day and you're living, you're making money.
Right.
Don't stop.
Right.
That's my motivation, I guess.
Second question. What's the best way to beat imposter syndrome?
Oh God. I think that we all will have imposter syndrome. Anyone in this field, if they say they don't, is lying.
Lying.
Like, I think that the best way to beat it is to just do it. I think having a great support system, we talked a lot about friendships today, having friends that hype you up and understand the world you're in is important. We do that for each other a lot. It's like, no, you should be doing this. And if they're not in this world, still having someone to be like, you can do it. But even with that, you have to combat that you're in your own mind. And the way that I do it is I look at the incredible people that we have in this industry and how everyone is very different. And I use that to my advantage because I feel like an outsider a lot. And say, well, they did it. So I can do it. Just go for it. Because if you don't go for it, somebody else is going to go for it and they're going to get it.
Right.
So that's how I always do it. And I try to always be the person for other people.
Yes.
To to like be like, go for it, you can do it, you would be great for this.
I always feel like that ends up helping me with my imposter syndrome, is that a lot of people will always be like, you helped me with this, or when I saw you do that, it made me want to do that. And I'm like, I am capable. I do know what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had a teacher one time tell me, he was just like, no matter what audition room you're in, you're going to be in spaces where you're like, oh my God, this guy looks so seasoned. This girl looks like she's perfect for the role. I don't even know what I'm doing here. And he's like, every time that happens, remember, you are all on the same playing field.
Yeah.
You got invited to the same audition. It doesn't matter if this one's singing loud as fuck in the corner to throw you off. It doesn't matter if she has legs the size of twigs and you think that they want a skinny girl. Like, always, he told me, he was like, take a deep breath, keep your feet planted, and remind yourself, I have a right to be here. And that, to me, I was like, I have a right to be here. I have a right to be here. Always reminded me, like, we're all equals. We are all equals. Whether you think I'm an equal or not, good, underestimate me, you know?
What's your biggest, like, imposter syndrome? Like, when do you feel that the most?
When do I feel my imposter syndrome the most? I would probably say probably on social media. Probably on social media, because I think everybody looks at my accounts or my, I don't want to say persona, because I do my best to feel really authentically myself. But I think it's easy to see like my social media accounts and see my videos that are trending and going viral and making the circuits and getting picked up by news stations, and, you know, even the things I post about like our podcast and stuff. I think it's easy for people to be like, wow, she's got her like life going and together. And like behind the scenes, I just feel really discombobulated. I feel like everybody, we talked about this earlier before the podcast, where everybody's always praising you and they're always being like, wow, you're amazing. You're amazing. And then like, I'm really struggling to find an agent and a management and team right now. I've had teams before, but there's a specific type of team I'm looking for where it doesn't cause me more stress. It alleviates stress, but also advocates for me. And I think that on social media, it feels, you know, social media is fake. So I get online
the
and like,
of all.
And people are like, wow, she's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm like, yeah, but I struggle to get views. Yeah, but I struggle to keep my engagement. Yeah, but I struggle to get sponsorships. Yeah. You know, if they're looking for a New York City lifestyle girly, they're going to go for the skinny blonde one, not for the uptown girl. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's probably mine. As an agent and somebody who coaches kids and adults to get agents and to get bookings, listen up if you are somebody seeking representation. What is the worst type of song for you to sing for an agent, and what is the best type of song or performance that an agent wants to see and hear?
Okay, so that's a great question. Should I say that I have a management company? Did we say that already?
Yeah.
I guess we could throw that in, that I have a management company. I really primarily work with influencers, but I coach a lot of young actors and adults too, like you just said.
And he's a part of an agency.
Yes, and I have an agent. So that's kind of how I learned all of this, because I went through that process many times. What is the worst song to sing? Something that's not authentic to you. What we are taught is you need to sing a song where you hit this note and you hit this low note and this really high note and show this range. That's not what people are really looking for. They're looking for something that feels authentic to you. The world is very different than, I would say, even 5 years ago, where they're looking for authenticity. They're looking for something that they can connect to. Yeah. And something that feels real. A major thing that people do wrong, especially young people, is they sing a song that's written for like a 40-year-old.
Yes.
Like they're singing She Used to Be Mine. How at 15 can you relate to like a abused mother? Right. And unless you're really creative and you can take that and be able to explain, I relate to this song not because of the context of what it's actually about, but this is how I'm translating it. This is my interpretation. You're doing it wrong. Right. You want something that's age appropriate. You want something that you connect to in that moment. And we're actually really lucky that like if you want to sing a song that's written for a girl and change the key, who cares?
Change the key.
Change the key. If something's too high for you and you are not this, skinny blonde girl that's belting, a high E, make it work for you.
Right.
Like, who are you? That they're looking for things that are different now.
Right.
Not this cookie. The people that are having the most trouble, especially in like the theater world, are the blonde girls with blue eyes, the boys that are
doing
6
the
foot,
same thing.
Same thing. Like, that's out.
Be the weirdo.
Be the weirdo. Be different. I was taught at a young age, like right at after New York Film Academy, and even in then, like, because my voice had a little bit more grit and was a little bit more soulful. You will never make it like that. And I started singing very like nasally, and like, that is so wrong. And I'm so happy we're in a place where like you shouldn't do that. But the teachers are still teaching that, unfortunately.
Right.
Be you. That's what I would say. Find something you connect to.
I also think for people who don't have, we live in New York, so people go to Broadway consistently. But if you're somebody that like watch Hamilton on Disney Plus, watch the live play Hamilton, the live musical Hamilton, and listen to Jasmine Cephas Jones. Mm-hmm. She is a soul singer, and Lin-Manuel Miranda literally said, "Oh, she's an R&B singer. She would be great as Mariah Reynolds or something." And like, she doesn't have a super theatrical voice, but I think people hear Kristen Chenoweth from the 2003 production of Wicked, and she's like popular. And Ariana Grande really channels her in Wicked. So she's got, a lot of musical theater is being extremely like forward and mask facing in your voice, if we want to get technical. And you have to pronounce every single pronounce.
We just did Into the Woods, and I think that was so fun because we don't normally sing that way.
Yes, and honestly,
I remember you did
the witch.
Oh my God.
And you look at Bernadette Peters, who like originated the character of the witch, who is like Broadway royalty, and she is a weird one.
Weird.
The tone of her voice is
it's
so
almost
crazy.
Unpleasant.
It's almost unpleasant,
but it makes you listen.
Yes, Patti LuPone is another one.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
what I was that just popped in my head when you did Stepmother and Into the Woods, and you were singing the Prince. I was like, wow, I had forgotten like that you can do that.
Oh, that
I just saw
sing opera.
Opera, yeah. Like, I just saw a clip of Ariana Grande being like, the voice is so crazy because it can do so many different things. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're both really great at like changing our voice.
Yeah.
When I sing, I think it sounds very different than my speaking voice. Oh. I can do a lot of different styles because maybe it's a God gift that I always felt like I had to change myself. That like now I could kind of do all these different voices.
It's a weird blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it is. But I think what's important now when you're looking for representation,
right?
They want to see who you are. And I think something else to note, like, I think asking, like, what's the worst thing you can sing is something that doesn't feel natural to you. I would want to mention one of the worst things you could do is not having enough material. Not having... A lot of times people will send stuff into me for RAFCO management, and I'm like, this is so great. I'm so happy you took a selfie. What do you do? Or they'll have one song. So I'm like, so is that the only song you can do?
Right.
And guys, like, you really have to be able to do it all.
My next question would be, if you were to start right now, completely over, never did any musicals, or you have musical experience, but you have no idea where to start or how to begin in terms of how to become a singer, actress professionally. I guess we can keep it to the musical theater since that's your world. Yeah. What are like 3 to 5 things that somebody needs to get or work towards getting tomorrow in order to get a kickstart? Like, how can they start being a professional as soon as possible? What are the materials?
Great question. First and foremost, a job.
A side job.
I say this to everybody. And this is something that my agent has actually said to, like, I've seen her do workshops and stuff. And this is not saying if you have no money, you can't make it. But, like, please don't take it that route. If you don't have money, you can't get the things you need.
You need to invest.
You need to invest in yourself. That is something that I've learned along the way. If you invest in yourself, things will start happening. Now let's get into the stuff that you actually need. First and foremost, you need excellent pictures. Excellent pictures. That is the most important thing for the agent to see, for the manager to see, more importantly, for casting to see.
Yes.
If your pictures are not competitive, you are getting nowhere. We all have that friend that's a photographer. I'm sure they're great. Your pictures should cost $500 to $800. I'm sure there's better deals. I'm sure someone has a Black Friday special. Find the deal from the best photographers.
Right.
Ask casting. You can email casting. Whose pictures do you love?
Right.
You know, ask an agent. I'm not looking right now. I just want to know whose pictures do you really like? They're so important. The eyes in a picture are so important. I can't stress that enough. I've cast things before. The picture is so important. Sometimes, and I've been on breakdown services for projects, your picture, like, it means like, oh, we're not clicking on you.
Right. I need new headshots, by the way, and I was going to ask you for advice.
Yeah. Like, listen.
I got really lucky with my headshot.
Your headshot was great.
I
actually was going to text you about your headshot because your hair is not blue anymore.
Yeah,
and
I
you
know.
look
I'm
different.
going back to the blue.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I am going to go back to the dark midnight blue, but I'm going to keep it more black so it's like a little bit more uniform. I lucked out, though, because that's a great, not to get you off your train of thought, but this is why you guys also need to network. Networking is the most important thing. It is your greatest asset. Yeah. If you're somebody that doesn't come from a network, you need to network with your peers because we've both been in offices where you talk to agents, you talk to major executives, and they always say like, oh, I know this guy. He's the head of this company. I've known him for 10, 20 years when we were both living with roommates. Your peers are going to be the next executives, the next head of anything. I found this photographer through a friend of mine. She was doing exactly what you said, like a deal, and she was doing a half an hour. She had actors and performers coming in like a revolving door, but she had her set up. Right. She shot me for a half an hour, one or two looks. I think it was the same outfit I had on. Yeah. 2 different hairstyles, 2 different backdrops, and I got fantastic headshots.
Great
and I think
pictures.
I paid her $150 for a half an hour, and she nailed it.
Yeah.
So,
and you want those pictures to look like you.
Yes, yeah.
You don't, especially to the ladies out there, like, you don't want to go in with like crazy makeup and like your hair like done like you wouldn't normally do it, because
enhanced but better.
Because it's like, who is that? They should be the best. Sometimes I'll have actors like get pictures, like especially like the younger ones, and they're like, because it's retouched, and they're like, that doesn't look like Ronnie is a great example. She'll hate the picture because it doesn't look like her. Well, it looks like the best version of you that if you were on a TV show, that is what you would look like. Right. You would have caked out makeup. Yeah. But it shouldn't be so drastic where it's like, is that your jawline? You know, like where they don't recognize you at all.
And also go for the vibe that you feel like you would. Like I didn't do too many super smiley photos because I'm more of a mysterious performer and mysterious actor. I auditioned for Morticia. Right.
She was you will be that part one day.
Oh, that's I think after auditioning for Morticia,
you are so good. You were just too young.
The fact that I was just too young made me so happy because I was so proud of that self-tape because my hair looked great, my makeup was great. I felt like my vocals were really great.
Oh, so great.
And then I was like, oh, I'm just too young. So you
know what's
me.
So funny? I've been in auditions for a while. I haven't told you this, for this TV show, Netflix series. We're getting close towards the end, and it's for like to play 17 in high school, and I'm like, so I look young.
You definitely could play it. I'm watching Vampire Diaries right now, and I'm binging it, and I'm like, these people look 40.
Yeah. I just looked at a picture of myself, and I'm like, am I like aging backwards? I feel like I look older.
Wait, yeah, no, but I feel the same way about me. I feel like my skin is better now, and people have been asking me, they're like, what are you, 23, 24?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Yes. Can you look at the picture of us like from senior banquet where we look like we're in the mafia? Like
me and Dominick have this 35, photo of we look like we literally are the Long Island Italians that.
And like now I see pictures and like people like think I'm very young.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love
Even
that.
right here looking at you, I'm like, I actually do feel like you look younger than
I
we
did.
did. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I'm reading the thing and I'm like, yeah, where's my backpack? Like,
Strap me in.
Strap me in.
I got
I'm
practice.
in. I love it.
I can't come with you to the ice cream shop.
You know what they asked me? They asked my agent if I would dye my hair
to what?
To blonde. Wait for it for the final audition. And I was like, Amy.
I could do that for you.
I know, but I was like, Amy, like for the audition. And now here's something for everyone to know. Like sometimes I guess they ask you these things. And I'm like, why blonde? Like I was like, I'm very dark
don't
and
look like you have dark skin.
and I asked her, I was like, you mean like the to the root? I was like, I'm starting to go bald. Like it's gonna fall out. Like
you are not starting to go bald, bitch. Where?
It's colored in. So don't look. Don't reveal your secrets, guys.
No, you are not starting to go bald. I can dye it for you.
But yeah, we got our try. Okay, headshots.
Headshots.
Very important. You need actors access. You need casting networks. No agent or manager is going to, maybe your manager will take you. Be wary of managers. Agents will not take you without actors access and casting networks. That is how they submit you for projects. It's a form of breakdown services. This is a long thing. We can talk for hours.
These are websites.
Which unfortunately you need money for to have. They're not free.
They're free. $30 a month, right?
Yeah. But again, it's an investment in yourself.
Listen, you're paying $60 a month to be a part of Actors Access and Casting Networks.
Right.
If you want to be submitted for a Nike commercial photo shoot, that's where it's going to be. If you want to be a part of a movie shoot or considered for a movie in LA and New York, that's where it's going to be. If you're looking for where is the hub for, and also there are things on there for side gigs as well, side jobs as well.
Hustles.
I was just considered for a documentary that I didn't get today. But
you win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. But it was like a few hours on Saturday. And like I found that it was a small gig. It was 3 hours, but they were going to pay me a couple $100s to do. I was like, fine, you can find small gigs here or there on casting networks and Actors Access.
Very good. And you could self-submit in the time being. You can make it backstage. It's hit or miss. It's a lot of student stuff, which is great if you're building.
That'd be great if you're new.
Yeah, and I think most important, which is hard, is to post on social media.
Get over the fear of being seen immediately. That ends today.
Most important is that the people that have a following on social media have an advantage. They may attack me for saying that. There is an advantage. I have a very small following on social media. And
you have a dedicating following, though.
Yeah.
It's small, but it's dedicated.
I have a good amount, especially on Instagram. It's really grown. And it's given me advantages in certain things.
Yeah.
Like for that audition. They didn't audition. They saw.
Yeah.
So it's important to share your story. And to think that, a few years ago that didn't exist.
Right.
So posting on social media, I can't stress enough that headshots are important. Last but not least, there's places like Actors Connection, one-on-one, where you could take workshops to audition for agents. Those are not bad. I actually do those. We have one coming up in the new year if you guys are interested. I always make sure that the agents are looking for representation.
Right.
I don't know if those other places do. So what I would suggest is to take workshops. Again, this is why I said to have a job in the beginning, because you have to pay. Take workshops with casting. Why is that? You take a workshop with a casting director. They may not need you right now, but they do remember you. They're humans. They're just like us. They may be looking for someone and say, oh, shit, remember that girl with the blue hair that was a recording artist? Let's bring her in.
And where can they find these workshops? Where can I find these workshops? I might want to do one.
RaffaeleProductions.com. We don't really do casting, but we have one coming up in January that's agents, managers, casting, and directors. It's going to be 15 weeks. I think it's going to be really great. But Actors Connection and one-on-one, they have those for NYC and LA. They're a great resource. Just make sure you're picking the workshop with casting.
Yeah.
Not again, the agent one is not a bad thing, but a lot of times, they're getting paid to go there, a lot of money. I know I pay them a lot of money. And, why would you say no to get $500 for the hour to see people sing, sing and give a note?
I have a friend that works in clientele, and she's got very successful clients, but she was also invited out to LA to do this, and she was like, it's basically like a Barbizon showcase where like all these kids' parents are gonna pay thousands of dollars for them to have like one photo shoot.
Yep.
essentially.
You
and
guys
it's like kind
wanna-
of scammy. She was like, and all the agents go there for the check, like, and they talk
yep.
shit about you.
Yep.
So make sure what you're doing is worth it.
And when you do find an agent, I think this is really important to talk about. I always say as a manager, I say be weary of managers because anyone could be a manager.
Right.
The person outside on the street.
I've learned this.
Yeah, they could wake up and say, I'm going to be a manager today.
I know people.
Yeah, you
That
have
does
to
not
be
make them a
careful. You
manager.
have to protect yourself. An agent is registered and licensed through the state you live in. There's laws that protect you.
That is a great point to make. I didn't know that.
You want to start there. And then you work your way to management. You also don't need a manager if you have nothing, no offense, nothing going on. What do you need a manager for to tell you to
100%.
get up today?
I think it's different with recording artists because I think,
absolutely.
So with agents are always going to be a big player, but with for anybody who's in entertainment, period. I mean, like athletes have agents, you know what I mean? But for recording artists, you need a manager that's going to want to ride the wave
for you.
And
or with you.
And like put their neck on the line for you, and you have to show your loyalty to them. That's a loyalty exchange.
I would say everything I just said is kind of for
actors and musical theater,
actors for film, that kind of a thing. That's like that is my specialty. That is what I focus on. I have music. Whenever I wouldn't call myself like a pro in recording artist. Like I have songs. Whenever I have a question, I go to Diana. Like but for acting and film and musical theater and all of that world, like I would suggest to definitely do those things. And last but not least, we said headshots, Actors Access, casting networks, workshops, and social media. Very important. Last but not least is to make sure that you're making connections. We kind of talked about that, and networking. And meeting people. And I'm noticing this trend a lot of saying no to not say no, to just do the project. Like, no disrespect.
This is such a good topic.
I produce a lot of like cabarets and stuff in the city, and like I'll have these like influencers. And they'll be like, sure, like when I get paid for like my time, and I'm like, I guess I have to work another shift at my parents' pizzeria to pay you, but like why when you're not even bringing anyone really in the door? You just have a following like everyone else on social media. But I just got off on a tangent there.
No, I'm literally listening to you because everything you're saying is 100% right. I think that if you're listening to somebody on a podcast talk about how they needed to learn to say no, like Addison Rae just did a radio show where she's like, I needed to learn to say no. Let me be the sign to tell you, you are not Addison Rae.
Correct.
You are not Charlie D'Amelio. You are not
When you
Keke
get
Palmer.
there, you say no.
When you get there, you say no. But until you get to that spot where you feel like you are having so many things come in where they're compromising your beliefs or whatever, unless you are at that position to start saying no, you better say yes to absolutely everything, unless it truly goes against your moral
values, or it's going to harm you in some way.
But if there's a student film and they're like, we want you to be a part of this, we believe that this film is going to be. I did a film recently called Cosquillas. And it's from CK Films, and I absolutely love them. They're absolutely incredible. I didn't get paid for it. They crowdfunded this entire film, and it was entered in all of these different film festivals. I didn't get paid for it, but I was more than happy to go because I wanted. Not only did I get a credit, I got to connect with a lot of amazing, incredible people. I support the arts, the small arts, the people growing that put literally this industry on their backs.
Right.
And who knows that if maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years that film ends up doing something incredible.
You don't know.
Say yes to everything.
I think that's the thing. Like, you don't know where people are going to go or what's going to happen and what they're going to turn out to be. Like, you know who I'm thinking about right now? I don't dislike this person. I think about this often. Like,
I don't know her personally, never met her in real life, but
I barely know her too. And
but
there's no hate to this situation, and I don't even want to really get into the situation, but I'm actually just going to spin this into a positive. Like, you have double the amount of followers than she did. Axel has, I don't even know how many more than she did.
If you guys know Axel Weber, we love you.
And like, you were in that rinky-dink theater raising money for kids with cancer and put a smile on your face and had fun.
Yes.
And made a memory and put on a great show. And somebody thought like they were above that.
Too good for that.
And that's something I think about often, and I'm like, I wonder where you're gonna go, because I know where I'm gonna go. I think about that often.
I think that was I was really sad when that situation happened, because I was also really excited to work with her and to
Me
meet
too.
her. And we have a few mutual friends, and I think maybe one day when I bump into her, I'll ask her about the situation.
Yeah, if what she said was true, my heart goes out to her.
There was apparently a family situation.
Yeah,
but
my heart goes out to her.
That
She's
way.
very sweet. I think that some of these people can definitely be humbled.
Yeah.
For sure.
When I meet her, I'm sure I'll have a conversation with her.
I think it's crazy. I
think she's ridiculously talented.
I admired you. I admired Axel. I mean, I admire you guys every day. But in that moment, I really looked at both of you as the other two people that had a following. Can we also mention that Gloria Gaynor and Kim Rhodes from the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody donated their voice to this, and weren't like, I'm not doing that. But I admired both of you. Like, you saw the space, you saw what we were doing. You saw we were sharing the space with freaking teenagers in a dressing room, and you knew why you were there to raise money. And I think at the end of the day, we all had a great time.
Also, I was just really excited. At the end, I was really excited to be on stage and share my gift. As much as this is a business, I still know that my gift and my craft, my art, should never be hindered by any superficial thing. Like,
Correct.
Oh, the theater. And also, my friend showed the fuck up. My friend Kat came.
Yeah.
My other childhood friend Michelle came.
And the
her mom
reviews
came.
from people were so positive.
And it was a sold out show.
So first time that theater has ever done that.
So that's our way of saying, like, never say no to anything.
Yeah.
And get your experience in. There's nothing that looks better than somebody who, like, has a resume stocked full of shit.
Yeah. Oh wait, I want to say this. Sorry, I don't want to jump in, but it's on the same topic. And this is actually not my quote. I actually heard this when I did a workshop with Taylor Louderman, who was Regina George on Broadway.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls. Yeah, very, very talented.
Dominick loves that show.
I love it.
How many times have you seen the show Mean Girls on Broadway, Dominick?
18.
18 times?
But wait, I didn't pay.
They need to pay you. You should.
Wait, can we talk about manifesting? I met and worked with all of those people.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
That was like a dream come true. Like,
that
show
inspired me so much when you were going through that business transaction.
I was a teacher and I was like going to see this show so much, and I didn't know why. It just made me happy. I like loved it, and those people made me want to do that again. Watching them up there having so much fun.
I remember when you called me and told me like the things that you were doing and what was going on, and I just remember being like, wow.
I'll never forget in COVID just being like, let me just email. And he just I just started emailing.
And all of a sudden he is having conversations with Miss Tina Fey.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's one thing that you always told me is like, just reach out to them, just call them.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen if you call them?
They ignore you, yeah.
They ignore you? And I was like, oh my God, you're so
Where was I going with this?
Taylor Louderman.
Yes, what she said, for people that are singers, I think this goes for singers, musical theater across the board. She said, like, when she was younger, I mean, she's known on that album and that show for belting really, really powerfully. She's like, I couldn't always do that.
Right.
And she was inspired by Sherry Renee Scott from Aida. And she was like, that's what I worked at. So if there's something that you can't do right now, I think that a lot of times it's like, well, I'm good at this, so I'm going to go for this. It's like, well, actually, you should be focusing and training on the things you can't do. If you're not an opera singer, maybe you want to strengthen that part of your voice. So when it comes to meeting with agents or managers and they're like, well, we want you to go in for Les Mis and Mean Girls, you can do both.
Yes. Make sure you're not limited. Have all the skills.
Yeah. I think that we grew up in a place where like we were taught to do everything and were expected, and now it's kind of like, well, I just do this, and that limits you.
I also feel like we have an advantage, which I didn't see as an advantage, but I do feel this way at the time. We were both trained classically as children.
Yes.
And our
even though I hate that.
I know.
And you're very good at it though.
I do miss it because I kicked ass at it.
You are I'm telling you, in Into the Woods, when you did the "Love to See the Prince," I don't know that. I was like, oh wow, she could sing opera. I forgot.
I don't know if people know this, but I got a full scholarship for
To
opera,
Hofstra, right?
To Hofstra
Yeah.
for classical voice, and like I sang, and like they stopped me and asked me to come in, and they brought the director in, and they were like, "We're prepared to give you anything that you want for you to come here."
Wow.
And I was like, unfortunately, this campus is very close to my parents' house. Yeah, and
I remember calling you.
I think I nailed that audition so well because I was like, I'm not gonna go here.
Yeah.
And
there was no like stress.
There was no stress for me, and I fucking killed it. And like, but yeah, I think the fact that we have an opera and classical voice background, that technique for, you know, Ariana, we keep going back to Wicked, but Ariana Grande said like, oh, I had to go back to training for classical and everything, and everything about classical voice and opera is all about the health of your voice and having it be, you're extremely full, you have your soft palate lifted, and like it's a ton of breath work, it's a ton of diaphragm. And I feel like having that, as much as it was hard to untrain that and become more of a contemporary singer, always having that technique with me, I always know that that's my base, that's my home base.
Yeah.
To pull from, like when I want to make sure that I'm being healthy.
Yeah.
You know, with my voice.
Do you like ever sing opera like in the house or like?
Yeah, I do.
I was gonna ask you that.
I used to do that in my old apartment a lot. I used to sing Pavarotti a lot, Pavarotti or something. I used to sing that a lot. I loved it. I loved my college audition songs.
Yeah.
I did. I loved them. I loved the way. That's why I'm such a belter, because I loved the way that made me feel when I could just
flow it up.
Ring. When I felt like my voice was like ringing off of tile, that's what makes me feel like, oh.
I feel like every day I drift further and further from wanting to be in theater, musical theater, but even like vocally, like when I make music and stuff, I love singing a different way.
Yeah.
But that will always be like my favorite. The thing that makes me feel like it's like chicken soup almost. Like it makes me feel like home. Like I love it. Like there's like even like, you know, like with Wicked coming out, we keep going there. But like I'm so excited. It's like I love that. Like there's nothing that will ever bring me that much joy or the feeling of like doing Into the Woods with you was so fun because like I haven't felt that like feeling since like high school. And it was like so fun to like, it was stressful, but it was so fun to like be up there with everyone, and I'm like, we're just singing and dancing, and people are clapping.
It also I also loved reading music again.
Yeah.
And like also it was difficult music. Stephen Sondheim is a very difficult composer to read, and like I was like, oh God. And also we were with a bunch of kids and college kids that were like currently like in college for music. Right. And they were like, oh, this is like what, 12/8 or 12/4 or something. They were like, you just have to count it in 4 because it's basically, you know, it's 12 beats, it's easier to count it in 4 and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right, gotcha. But and I was like, oh God, the tempo. And I was like, okay. And it stretched a muscle that I hadn't stretched in a minute. I was like, by the end of working on that show, I was like, oh, I could read any music now. Because I loved reading music, but I had no reason to after that.
That week, like, I wish I could. Me and Axel just talked about that. Like, we're like, we wish we could go back and, like, spoiler alert, like, I was drunk, like, the whole. I don't really drink that much, but we were like, my best friend we were ready to party. Like, I wish that I could go back and like do it again and like be like more serious. I gave it my all, but like
I thought it was great. Is there any closing things that you want to leave our audience with? I feel like this was such a great, productive, uplifting, motivational conversation. Like I don't mind that we went this long.
Yeah. Oh wait, was it long?
We might be close to 2 hours right now.
Wow.
But I really... But no, me and Dano have done
We're going to have to do a 2-part.
But I just think it's a really, really...
We had a good conversation.
What's your, like, final thoughts for us? Don't get drunk in high school like we. Like
I was gonna say, believe in yourself.
that is literally like, Dominic. Dominic is Josh Groban.
No, like you don't understand. Like
if anybody played Josh Groban, it'd be Dominic.
I like, really like
believe.
I like really like believe in. I really like love that statement, and I've said it for so long.
I think you just love that word.
Believe, I do, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. That's my final. I wrote that in the high school wall. Like I've been saying that
I
since
think
like
you
middle.
wrote that in my yearbook.
I'm just thinking about one time where I was signing like all the posters. Remember the poster signings? And everyone was like, he wrote something so nice. And then everyone was like, wait, he wrote that for me.
And you were like, just believe.
Yeah, it was always
wait,
like,
isn't
believe.
that your Instagram caption? Your Instagram
It says,
bio?
believe in yourself.
It
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible if you just believe.
If you believe, anything is possible. And if you go to Macy's right now in 34th Street, it says the same thing.
Dominick will be singing outside.
Yeah, that's my final statement. Because I really believe that, even though it's corny and people tell me they sell that at Walmart. Believe in yourself, anything's possible. And if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And if you don't invest in yourself,
no one else
the more
will.
Adult version of me saying that, if you don't invest in yourself, no one else will invest in you.
Yes. And to that, I want to add on also, if you don't invest in your friends and your community.
Yes.
And, your community meaning your peers and the people around you, your network, if you're not doing it in a really authentic, genuine way, nobody is going to invest their time into you in a real, authentic, genuine way. The art world, the entertainment world, the performance world thrives off of peer courtship. And me and Dominick have been really blessed, like in a divine way, that we've known each other since we were children, and like have grown in our own separate spaces, but have always
remained in contact.
Really authentic with each other. And like, I feel like our friendship is reaching a new space that's like evolved and passed.
Yeah. I don't know why I feel lately like we're doing very different things.
Yeah.
But like we're doing it together.
Yeah.
Like you're the friend that I go to like I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask her. Because because you're in it. You know what I'm saying?
But we also thrive off of honesty. I feel like we can also authentically be like, hey, I feel like I'm really lost here. Or like, hey, I'm scared that I don't know what I'm doing with this. And I'm like, when you say that, I'm like, no, you're fine. This is what we're going to do. When you reached out to me and you were like, this producer said this to me, and I'm like, okay, you're fine, but he's a fucking lying asshole. Yeah. Or when I reach out to you, I'm like, what do you think about this? And you're like, okay, you need to do this and you should not do that. Yeah. So it's important to really like invest in your relationships. We are not meant to be loners. Okay. We're not meant to do that. No. We are social beings. And if you're somebody that wants to be a performer, you must get the fuck out of your house.
Yes.
Get
and also,
the fuck out of your house.
I would like to say you have the right to stand up for yourself as someone that rare. I'm very good at standing up for others, but you have the right. I'm thinking just because you just brought up that producer with the song, like you have the right to be like, hey, you tuned this in the wrong key, and I paid you $1,500 for it. That was, remember me sending you that being
and
like,
he is scamming people on TikTok saying like, I can do this for your song, and I was shocked that this guy has such a following on TikTok, because the absolute, I don't give a fuck, the product that he sent you back
was so poor.
I could have done it better, and I'm a baby producer. Like, I've been cutting my own vocals for 2 years, and I can tell you right now, do not be scammed by people on the internet trying to scam you for a quick fucking check. Not that Dominick was scammed, because the song turned out great.
It was great because Chris from Dream Recording Studio did it.
Dream Recording Studios in Belmore,
excellent,
on Long Island.
Excellent.
They're great, but
and Diana as well is excellent. And if you want to make a song, we're starting a program. So
yes, we are starting a program.
Hit us up.
Yes, definitely. Oh, and I'll talk to you after. Yeah. But all right.
Thank you so much for having me. This is my dream come true. I feel like I could like die happy.
But I feel like we can go for like 4 hours.
We should have like a talk show, like a morning show. Well, I feel like we'd be better at night.
We'd be like, drinks, please. We'd be Andy Cohen. Some people are Rhoda and Jenna.
That would be so fun.
We are Andy Cohen.
Yeah, we can't do. We would be late for the morning.
They'd be like, "Where is Diana and Dominick?" We'd be like,
I have a picture of us, by the way, in my bedroom of us hungover after the Farmingdale Fair.
Well,
because we had like Saturday rehearsal or something.
Oh, and
we were the only ones that went to the fair because we were cool.
We were. Oh my god.
Well, Diana was cool, and I knew her.
All right, guys. Well, if this has been extremely fun, we are finished with our drinks almost. Oh, little last sip, Ola.
And don't drink if you're under 18.
Well, I can't say anything. I was drinking very young, but I hope you enjoyed your coffee, your tea, and your martini. Go ahead and follow Dominick. Dominick, give them your socials.
My socials is Instagram is my full name at Dominick Raffaele, and TikTok, which I stopped posting on for some reason, is dom.raffaele because my full name was unavailable.
And you guys know the deal. Please subscribe on our Patreon for the full video. If you are an audio listener, we have so many behind the scenes things. We'll shoot a video after this and give you guys a bit of an update. Please rate this podcast on Spotify. The more people that rate, the more interaction we get, the higher our podcast goes in the ratings and more people can see it and hear it. And I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the love that I've been receiving on this podcast. And I am so excited to share with you not only this guest, but our next guest, who is going to be Justine, the marathon runner, the Prosecco, the People's Prosecco Princess, which I've coined her.
I can't wait to watch that.
So thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was so fun.
That was great.
That was actually a blast.